Bears beats Battlestar Galactica.
You really adopted the dark. I was born in it.
Sounds like somebody's got a case of the Mondays.
Bazinga. 2 in the box. Ready to go. We be fast. They be slow.
Cool.
Jesus.
I don't think it's. I don't. You don't have to go.
Component.
Oh, you could just like that. Just like that.
Yes, you do. That's not okay.
Throw your legs
That's
up.
not how it works.
Throw your legs up.
Are you mansplaining to me right now how I should masturbate?
I'm not saying how you should. I'm not saying how you should. You're just saying it's impossible.
Just how you could.
Yeah, how you could. You're saying it like, oh, it's how is that even? Your exact question was, how is it even possible with your thumb? I'm giving you multiple choices here. I'm giving you multiple choices of how you could masturbate with your thumb.
While it is possible, it is uncomfortable and not the easiest way to get the job done. So
not from the
smarter,
videos I've
not
seen.
harder.
Not from the videos I've seen.
Work smarter, not harder. Number one. Number two, that's not what I was doing. You can keep saying that all you want, but unless I have razor blades in my vagina,
Neri,
that's not how that happens.
Shut up, Neri. Are you recording this?
Yes. This is being recorded. Yeah.
Okay.
Lovely.
Yeah. This is gonna be in the promo for the episode. Like, hey, come and listen to this conversation.
I'm just making sure that it's you who's recording.
Yeah.
And not me, because I can't remember if I'm using my
no, it's me. It's me.
my
It's
work
me.
account.
Well, you can't
Okay,
remember.
so
You can't remember what I
us
just logged.
that
I
you're
just sent you a code. I'm recording. It's my account.
Okay.
It's not a work account.
Like, I was trying to figure that out too, because I noticed last episode I've got a recording thing in the top left, and I was wondering if it was some sort of default thing. I didn't realize it would tell me that other people were recording.
No, I am recording. It gets sent out to the cloud. The reason I started recording is because I would watch all these other podcasts, like for the commercial, like in their Instagram, be like, oh, come listen to, you know what I mean, and then I would do that with the only audio, and I'm like, well, why am I doing that only with the audio? It's
Put them up on YouTube.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm so
Dude, yeah, like if you ever clip anything together, I'll put it as. I mean, I'll start running it as commercials before our show.
Yeah. So that's what we got to do. All right. That's 2 minutes. We're not going to get back. All right. We're recording. Welcome to the Mt.Geekmore podcast, your favorite podcast where you come to listen to people talk, debate, and argue over their favorite, their Mount Rushmore, their top four, their Mount Rushmore, if you will, of their favorite pop culture subjects. Today's pop culture subject is our favorite TV siblings duels. I got to make sure we put duels in the parentheses because we're not including the whole clan. So we're going to be talking about the Brady Bunch. It's going to be 2 people in the Brady Bunch, not the entire bunch. Same goes for Seventh Heaven or any other large TV family cast. I am Neri Science. With me, as usual, is David.
Howdy.
And we got Daniel DeBona.
What's up, y'all?
And today we're welcoming the other half of the dynamic Ulloa marriage, Stephanie.
Hello.
All right. So, how did you guys come up with your list? This, by the way, to the listener, was Stephanie's topic. She was like, "I have an idea for a topic," and I was like, "What is it?" And then she said it, and we're like, "Yeah, that's good." And she's like, "But I have to be on it." I was like, "Oh boy." So here we are.
I didn't say I had to be on it. I said I wanted to be on.
This is actually true. But we're all married men, so we know what happens when a wife says, "I want something," that we register that as I must have this, and I'm like, that's it, that's all that matters, all it takes. All right, so how did you guys come up with your list? David, how did you come up with the list?
So one of the things that was really important to me is the actual like sibling relationship, because there's a lot of siblings on television where the fact that they're siblings is somewhat incidental and doesn't really play into the sibling relationship.
Yes.
So I specifically kind of picked characters where the sibling dynamic was at the core of their central story arcs, or just story development or character development. Because there are tons of characters that I love, but as far as their relationship as brother and sister aren't really very strong or very established.
Or brother, whatever.
Or brother, or sister, whatever it was.
Sister.
Also,
Sorry.
Same.
tables. Also, I did not know that we had actually decided that it was only going to be like coupling until right now. So I have to scramble.
Yeah. I live for those moments.
I mean, we literally talked. It wasn't even a text. It wasn't even a text. It was an actual conversation that we all had.
We said that in the video, Big Dog.
BFF, but look who you're talking to.
I was I like the fact he goes, "Oh, I didn't know we actually decided on that." I'm like, that was okay, cool. All right.
But look who you're talking to, BFF. Did you expect anything less?
I know. All right. So, Stephanie, how did you come up with your list?
I got it. I figured it out. I got it.
How did you come up with your list?
Oh, good. I went with what I know. These are all my choices are all from shows that I love. And I am also like, I don't have a sister. I only have a brother. So like, I don't know what it's like to have a sister. So I found myself relating more to the relationship where there was a brother involved. And also the dynamic of a relationship, how the relationship progresses throughout the show, how essential is the storyline, factored in more with my ranking, like where they are on my list.
Okay. Yeah, I just noticed my list is all guys. Huh.
Nice.
Wow, you're so anti-feminist.
Yeah, like it's weird, and I don't know, like subconsciously, because I have a sister and a brother, and I don't know if it's subconscious because my sister is 6 years older than me, so when we were kids, she always like took it upon herself to be the mother figure, because she's 6 years older than me.
Your brother in age.
Yeah, and then I remember as a kid, I was thinking like, you're not mom. I don't fucking respect you as a parental figure at all whatsoever, like at all. And then, she got all upset because I threw a pair of scissors at her head. Whatever, dude. Fucking get over shit.
Did you really throw a pair of scissors at her head?
Yes and no. Yes, I threw a pair of scissors, but I purposely missed. It was way off the fucking mark. It wasn't even like close to being fucking anywhere. And I remember knowingly going like, I'm not fucking gonna be close. But yes, I did throw scissors. She shrieked.
Seems really safe.
Yeah, what a pussy. He's trying to kill me. Whatever, dude. Fucking pussy. But it's funny because I'm looking at, and my honorable mentions, it's so funny. I swear to God, I never worked at this. My honorable mentions is all females. I'm sorry, all brother, sister, but all my top four are brother. That's fucking weird. All right. But my number 4 could be challenged, so I got one in the bag. Debona, how did you pick?
Okay.
I'm interested in what your number 4 is right now because there's one that I almost put on here, but technically they aren't siblings. But anyway, so when it came to mine, I realized that the relationships, possibly because I related to them more, were the relationships where siblings were at each other more so than for each other, but when, for lack of nothing cliche, something non-cliche to say, when the chips were down, they were always there for each other. So my list really came down to, for the most part, there's one that's not, but it was siblings who didn't necessarily always get along. The relationship wasn't always even healthy or supportive, but when it came down to it, they made each other better people. And they were great to watch, and the same type of thing where the relationship was a very large piece of the show.
Okay, right on. I just picked dudes. Apparently, I just picked it. No, but I'm going with. I went with the same thing that Dave said. Like there was a lot of relationships. There's a lot of characters in TV shows where as a viewer, you almost forgot that they were siblings. That these people are supposed to be related. So I did not do that. I went with sibling. I went with characters that I was like, no, this is a driving force in their story. As to us, the viewers, is these are siblings. So I went with that. I honestly did not even. I mean, I went through this, and I didn't. this isn't my typical, to the listener, if you've been listening for a while, for the last 3 years, a lot of times I've been guilty of like just coming up with my list maybe 10, 15 minutes before the show starts. That is not the case for this. Like I was working on this at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. Like it's where we started recording at 9, which again doesn't seem like a long time, but for me that's,
that's huge.
That's an infinite amount of time more. Like, I'm bad at math. I was going to say that's 10 times longer than... No, I don't know. It's fucking infinite. But it's a lot more time than the regular 10 or 15 minutes that I dedicate to the thing. Not that I have to defend myself, but I usually go with 10 or 15 minutes before the show because I go with gut reactions. Is typically my frame of mind. But this one, I put research into it. All right. So with that said, let's get it going.
With the 4th pick.
Number 4.
Round 4.
I'm in no mood for your wives' crap. Let's get it on.
All right, David, we're going to start with you, just because going counterclockwise or going clockwise from my screen, that's where you are at.
Right.
Let's start off with your number 4.
So this is the one that I had to kind of scramble at the last minute and change. And I have substituted my original pick with another animated sibling duo, which is Chip and Dale.
Are they actual brothers?
Okay. They are brothers. Yeah.
I mean, I watch the show a lot, but I just thought they were friends. I never thought.
No, they are actually brothers. According to Disney, they are brothers.
But their being brothers did not drive the show. That wasn't a big factor in the show.
Yeah. I mean, I'll let him explain, but I think that their relationship was a pretty big driving force. But I'll let David do his explaining first, and then.
So even though the terminology isn't thrown out often, I think that what they have is like a classic sibling clash all the time. Right? This is like the classic odd couple pairing. If you have a brother or a sister that is different from you, right? Like if you're a type A and they're a type B personality, like this is what you get all the time. And I think that it's a really like fun and funny way of addressing that, and then you kind of have at that same time with that dynamic, you see Gadget, who's kind of like the mom of the group, kind of be a mom for them and keep them in check. And even though Chip is much more obviously the leader of the group, he can still be pulled into that like petty squabbling simply by looking at Dale. Which to me is one of those things that like I was always able to do to my sister, where I just by looking at her the right way or the wrong way, if she were thinking about it, I could get her to come down to my level and get into a fight with me, and it would look like she was the bad guy, even though I was the one that was goading her.
Wow,
on.
Are you admitting this right now?
So that
David,
was something that I always really liked about their dynamic.
This is being
gaslighting your sister.
David, this is being recorded. You're actually this is something she could actually play back for your parents. She could actually use this as evidence.
I'll tell you a story.
Okay. But yeah,
how he gaslighted his sister when she was like 2.
But yeah, no, that's exactly like when you watch Chip and Dale's Rescue Rangers, like. So often, not the main conflict, but a B storyline in the show will be Chip being too Chip and Dale being one who has to balance him out, or vice versa. So I would venture to say that the relationship is a core of the show.
I think the relationship is a core of the show, but the fact that they're related. I watch Rescue Rangers all the time. Even now as an adult, I watch Rescue Rangers, and I don't Like, I had to look it up. I'm like, oh, fuck, they're actual brothers. By the way, the one and only time I've almost been kicked out of Disney World was because I grabbed one of their tails. I don't know which one it was, either Chip or Dale, but I grabbed one of his tails, one of their, the fucking, they came out into public, and I grabbed one of their tails, and I got a picture of it, and then the human sidekick was like, you can't be touching the animal, you can't be touching the characters.
Yeah, you did not have
you cannot do that.
Yeah. So I only wish
not consent,
cosplay is not consent.
I only wish I was like, they're fucking fairies. What do you mean you can't touch them? That's the whole point. They love this shit. But I only wish that I would have that actual photo. I don't have that photo. That was an actual photo, not a.
That's because. Oh, it wasn't like a.
No,
it wasn't
a digital.
I was gonna say because Disney did fucking pixie dust magic and erased the.
It wasn't digital photo. No, it wasn't a digital.
Photo.
It wasn't a digital photo. It was a photo taken by my then girlfriend.
And why do you think that matters? Disney can still find it.
Oh boy! All right. And so I love Chip and Dale. I didn't even know they were fucking brothers. And so when you're telling me this, like every episode that I've seen, yes, there was a lot of squabbling, and their interaction with each other was a driving force in the show. I just didn't see them as it wasn't their relationship as siblings. It was just their interactions to me is what I saw it as. But I'm not arguing the fact that they're brothers. It's fucking clear as day. I just all right. Cool.
I think it's one of those things where once you know that they're brothers, it makes so much more sense.
And you know why I didn't realize it? It's because one of them is light furred and the other one is dark furred. So I didn't know.
I mean, they have the same dad.
Yeah, they're half brothers. Half brothers.
One of them has a red nose. The other, I mean, come on, I'm not trying to be a dick, but mom's a hoe. All right, so.
Oh boy.
Well, one of the dads was a squirrel.
That's fantastic. I love this so much. Stephanie, you wanted this. I don't understand. You
probably
fucking asked
Dale.
for this.
I did.
You asked
I'm
for this.
really regretting this.
It is probably Dale.
It's probably Dale.
He's got an extra chromosome or two.
All right. Okay, so Stephanie, what do you got for your number 4?
My number 4 is Ross and Monica Geller from Friends.
The very architect of they're actual siblings. I didn't remember because they're fucking never talking about it. All right, Ross and Monica.
That's even though Friends is my favorite show. They're lower on my list because their brother and sister relationship is not the driving force of the show, but their brother and sister relationship, their sibling relationship, does obviously come up a lot. They also, one of my favorite things that Friends does is how Monica and Ross just constantly nitpick at each other and constantly like throwing 20, 30-year-old drama back in each other's faces. The arguments they get into are some of my favorites. Like that Thanksgiving episode where their parents are there is one of my favorite episodes because that's one of the episodes where they're just like, you know, that's the episode where they find out, that's the episode where Ross got high is the name of that episode, and they throw shit out about like he throws her under the bus for living with Chandler without telling them, and like that's the kind of shit that I would get together. Their
and breaking the porch swing.
Right, breaking the porch swing. Hurricane Gloria didn't break the porch swing. The routine from that New Year's episode is hilarious. Like I remember watching that in the first episode and not expecting it at all because they talk about the routine the whole episode and of all the things you're expecting, that's not it. I feel like that's, you know, when that's not, while it's not the main storyline or the show doesn't always center around Ross and Monica, their relationship is a real brother and sister relationship. The other reason it's not higher on my list is because their relationship kind of just stays where it is. It doesn't grow. It doesn't really evolve throughout the course of the show. They have a good relationship to begin with, but that's why they're not higher on my list. Also, Ross and Monica remind me so much of David and his sisters. Oh my God.
Yeah, I had Ross and Monica on my short list, but that very last thing you said is the exact reason that they didn't end up making anywhere on my list is while the relationship is good, it's pretty much the exact same relationship from the end of the show, and it ran for 10 years.
10 years, yeah.
So that's I think that they're a great example of what we're looking for, but that's why they didn't make my list.
I also think it's for being a television relationship, it's a pretty realistic relationship of what it's like to have a brother and a sister. Like, you get along as adults pretty much for the most part, but it takes 2 seconds for you guys to turn on a dime on each other and judge shit up that's 20 years old.
That's actually one of my favorite things about that show is it can be really far-fetched sometimes, and the characters very quickly become characterizations of themselves. But Monica and Ross very much represent what I think a sibling relationship is in real life.
You guys are Monica and Ross.
That's nail on head, though. You're absolutely right. As that show progressed, everybody else became a caricature of maybe what that character was written to be, but their relationship always felt very real. I like that a lot.
Yeah.
All right. Debono, what do you got?
My number 4 are the most unhealthy brother-sister relationship on my list. They are quite possibly both socio/psychopaths, but they are the most codependent siblings that I could think of when it came to this, and they're just downright hilarious. My number 4 is Dennis and Sweet D Reynolds from Always Sunny.
I've never seen this show, man.
Never seen Always Sunny.
I've seen a few episodes. I've seen a few episodes here and there, but not enough to say. But yeah.
Okay, so the Dennis and Dee are twins. And their relationship, this for anybody who might not watch Always Sunny, it's essentially a new age of Seinfeld. It's 5 white people that do a bunch of horrible
things. It's been on forever.
And get away with it. Yeah. They're about to start season 15 or 16 because they just 10 episode seasons.
Oh.
But yeah, and so Dennis and Dee have been hooked on crack together. They have attempted to scam anyone and everyone they've ever come in contact with. When they put their heads together, they always come up with some horrible, evil, genius plan that never plays out and is absolutely hilarious. But when they're at each other, they are the most brutal siblings to ever throw down. They're just, like I said, they're absolutely codependent. As much as the show seems to be centered, the running joke in Always Sunny is that everybody hates Steve. And as much as they can't stand each other, you realize every couple of episodes how one cannot exist without the other. As twins, they are very much just two sides of the same coin. They have lived together. They have done just horrible, horrible things together. Like I said, they try to scam everybody. They've been through a couple of dads in the course of
How do you go through a couple of dads?
Well, I mean, it's not really giving it away. It's a sitcom, but Danny DeVito is their dad, but then you find out later that he just raised them and that he's not actually biologically their dad. And the dude from Seventh Heaven is their real dad, but he's a really good person.
The guy that ended up being the pedophile?
Yes. Wait, did he? I don't know. The dad from Seventh Heaven.
Yeah, Stephen Collins, the dad from Seventh Heaven, ended up being a pedophile or something like that.
And this is not a defense. I don't want to make it seem like he's not a pedophile. He just had pictures of naked children, but that's what it was. He had pictures of naked children on his computer.
Oh, because that's any better.
I literally started my comment with, "This is not a defense. I'm not defending this at all whatsoever. I don't know if there's a difference between a pedophile and somebody who collects pictures of children. I don't know if there's a difference, but that's what he's.
I don't think there's a difference, but I guess
pedophiles would argue that there is because porn is undefinable.
Yeah, he's like, well, I only looked at pictures, you sicko. I didn't fucking touch him, you sick fuck. I was like, okay, both of you are sick.
Okay.
Their relationship is hilarious. It's awful. They're two of the worst people ever written onto television.
Which, by the way, real quick, you said that the dad from Seventh Heaven, which is funny to me because that means that they are related to Andy Bernard.
To the Camdens.
And
to Andy Bernard.
To
right?
Andy Bernard, because that is Andy Bernard's father, is Seventh Heaven
Oh,
Creeper.
really?
Yeah, Seventh Heaven Creeper. Yeah.
I missed that.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Andy Bernard is the different Seventh Heaven, and he plays Bruce Mathis on Always Sunny. But like I said, they're
Oh, you broke up there.
Yeah.
You're
They
breaking
have,
up
like
a
I
lot.
said, they've been addicted to read about them. Anyway, am I back now? Are we good?
You're back now.
Now you're back.
If you could just say whatever you just said, if you could re-say it, because now, yeah.
They have been addicted to crack together twice. They have tried to scam the welfare and the unemployment system multiple times. Like I said, huge premise of the show is that they absolutely hate each other, but they're this. But as twins, they're just so freakishly connected that they're basically the same person while being very, very different. And so Dee also has to be my favorite character on Always Sunny. So it's a hilarious show. And I got to go with Dennis and Dee Reynolds.
Okay. Reynolds. All right. My number 4, I am willing, and I know that it can be contested, but my number 4 is Will and Carlton from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
I knew you were going to say that one as soon as you said it was debatable because I took them off.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I thought that the two options were, I thought you were going to do either Will and Carlton or Stewie and Brian.
Stewie and Brian are actually related. So that's not.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's not even. That wouldn't be a contention.
So Will.
See, here's the thing.
Carlton,
So here's the thing. Will and Carlton state my case, and again, I'm for everybody voting me down. I'm fine with that. But my case is.
Hang on a second before you state, because you stating your case is you putting them on your number 4.
No, it's the reason. It's the reason. It's the reason why. It's not putting them on my number 4. It's the reason why I am contesting this, is because
and I can think of one reason that if you say it, I'm going to be on your side.
So I'm fully aware that yes, technically speaking, the characters are cousins. I'm fully aware of that. With that said alone is enough to be like that immediately, takes them out of contention for this list. Granted, I agree with that. However, this is an adoptive relationship. Uncle Phil, for lack of a better word, adopted Will into his family, and I'm with you because of that exact argument. And that, to me, is the reason why they always treated themselves as siblings. It was never, even in the rare instances where Will. Including the last episode of the series where Will was like, I'm not really your kid, I'm not whatever. He was immediately and firmly told by everybody in the family, like, you are family. Like, there is no, you know what I mean? Like, Uncle Phil called him, you're my son, as much as my son as Carlton is, and so on. So I always saw them, like, again, granted, yes, they're cousins, but in the show that we saw, the audience saw, it was an adoptive relationship where it was they treated themselves as siblings, and to me,
and I'm willing.
Yeah,
I'm willing to concede this pick because of the fact that Uncle Phil was the best dad that Will had. I mean,
I'm not gonna argue
down to the most heartbreaking scene in the entire show.
Oh, yeah.
When Phil is the one who consoles him because his dad is garbage. And so in that moment, you realize that Uncle Phil is his dad. Yeah, why don't he want me?
Yeah.
Like
I thought you were talking about the time where he busted his Carlton's little tutu. No, that's fine. All right, me and you were thinking about two different. All right, that's fine. That's fine. The most heartbreaking scene.
Uncle Phil is he's the closest thing to a dad that Will ever had, and so having the same dad would make you siblings. So I'm going to concede this one. I'm actually more willing to go with this one than Brian and Stewie if you'd gone that way. So I'm okay with it.
Just as a quick,
they certainly behave like brothers.
Yeah.
They fight like brothers. So
yeah.
Yeah, I'm for it, man. I think it's an out of the box pick. I think you put it at number 4 for a reason. I like it. Like I said, I had them right here, and then eventually just didn't write them down because of them not actually being brothers. So I can't be too mad at it.
Okay. Real quick to go back on the Seventh Heaven Creeper. It turns out that in 2014, New York City Police Department began investigating Collins after an audio tape leaked to the media revealed a male voice reported to be Collins admitting to past sexual abuse of a minor.
So he did touch children.
The LA or a child. I mean, just one. I'm definitely not defending him. I'm fucking totally mocking the fact that this guy's an animal. The LAPD spokesman stated, that Collins had been investigated by the department in 2012, which is 2 years prior to the NYPD investigation, after receiving a claim from 40 years earlier regarding sexual abuse. The LAPD further stated that its investigation did not allow it to substantiate the allegation against Collins. In December 2014, an interview with People magazine, Collins admitted he committed inappropriate sexual conduct with 3 female minors in 1973, 82, and 94.
Good Lord.
A profile by
every 11 years this guy has to feed like it.
It's like
oh my God, maybe that's why 2020 is so fucked up, because it's like every 11 years it like keeps the planets alive or something.
Somebody give him virgin blood, please. Come, somebody give him virgin blood.
It's like Cabin in the Woods. Like if we don't make the sacrifice, it's the end of the world.
A profile by the Washington Post reported that he apologized directly to one of the girls. He has stated that his
so he's a gentleman about it, though.
He has stated that his inappropriate conduct was motivated by arrogance and youth. But how young were you in '94 though, bro? Like that's not like if you were around.
You did it for 20 years.
Yeah, if you were around to fucking do that in '73 and it was inappropriate in '73, in '94 you should have been fucking old enough to be like, you can't blame it on youth anymore, asshole.
Your transgression is now old enough to drink. You're not allowed to.
So fucking good. He said that it was motivated by arrogance and youth and not pedophilia. To explain his motivation.
Okay. That makes it okay.
To explain his motivation, he spoke about an older woman who repeatedly exposed herself to him when he was between the ages of 10 and 15. You don't got to start fucking bragging about shit, man. You can just take it in the fucking...
Throwing neighborhood MILFs under the bus like that.
For real. All right. So my number 4 is sorry to detour off that, but I was like, man, I don't want to smear this guy's name. I know it was something creepy, but I didn't know exactly what it was. I'm like, let me go fucking do some research.
You didn't want to smear his name, so we just made it worse.
No, I didn't.
He wanted to prove that
now it's deserving.
Yeah. And I mean, again, I don't know which is worse, dude. I'm not gonna play this game, but he didn't have pictures of children and his naked children in his computer. So that's a fucking, principle from Ferris Bueller's Day Off. I'm looking at you. All right.
Pete Townsend.
Pete Townsend, don't remind me.
Good guy.
Yeah, no.
So Will and Carlton. All right. The number 4s are Chip and Dale. Hey, that's a good question. Is it Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers, or are you talking about Chip and Dale's in general? Because they did the shorts back in the day that before they were Rescue Rangers.
Those shorts are actually released theatrically, so I wouldn't count those shorts. I was only considering Rescue Rangers.
Nice. All right. I didn't know that they were released theatrically. Are you talking about like before a movie?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like how they still are.
Yeah, but that's not it. All right.
Right, but we're talking TV.
All right. I mean,
it's a short film. It's still a short.
Okay. Well, let's move on. We're gonna move on with this one.
Round 3.
3 is a magic number. Yes, it is.
All right. right, David, what do you got for number 3?
All right, so the rest of my mountain is live action.
I was hoping you would go Stewie and Brian. I'm like, goddamn right. Goddamn right.
No, I have satisfied my my animated sibling pick, and I'm gonna have to go with Diane and Jack Johnson from Blackish.
Blackish. Jack and Diane.
I have not watched yet.
Man, it's so good.
Talk about the show. I've just never seen it.
It's so good, and those two make the show.
There are a lot of really great sibling relationships on that show.
A lot
because Andre and his sister, played by Raven Simone. My God, that's an awesome relationship.
Rainbow and her siblings.
Rainbow and both her siblings, because her sister, who's played by
Rashida Jones.
Rashida Jones, yeah, that's hilarious. And then her brother, played by Daveed Diggs, is even funnier, I think. But within the household itself, you have Zoe and Junior, which have a pretty good relationship. Like Junior is great with everyone because he's so easy to be like that straight man in the comedy relationship. But when you look at Jack and Diane together, like this is the perfect twin pairing in my eyes, because you have Jack, who's like just so gullible and so easily manipulated, for lack of calling him stupid, right? And then,
but he's happy about it.
But yeah, he's happy about it, and he knows that he's stupid, right? And he's just like, hey, listen, I'm cute and I can get away with things. And then you have Diane, who is the most diabolical, sociopathic person. Like
evil.
Maybe the smartest person in the house. She's fucking evil.
Yeah.
And
but it's charming.
It is charming, and it's very funny. And she knows exactly how to use Jack to get her way with things. And so to see them interact with one another, and then how she uses, because she's the mastermind behind everything, right? To see how she gets her way by playing someone by herself, playing that person with Jack, and then playing that person together. It's brilliant. There's like a sadistically evil, brilliant mind at work there, and to see how Andre and Rainbow, every now and then they keep going back to like checking up on how the kids are doing, and they'll just make a little comment like, she's gotten worse. Like she's bad. She's lost to us.
Deborah, first of all, you got to watch that show. That show is fucking incredible. I love that show.
That's great.
Yeah.
Very much.
Like Anthony Anderson a lot. Just never got around.
It's a great show. It really is.
I didn't. I'll be very honest. I didn't know. I knew about I knew about Juneteenth, but I didn't know like how significant and how important Juneteenth was to the Black community until that show. They have a fantastic. The way that they tackle racial issues on that show.
That whole thing.
Well done.
That's their charm. That's their charm, is the way they handle very difficult topics. I learned about Juneteenth from that show. I gotta be honest. I saw that episode maybe 2 years ago. It came out in 2017. So yeah, I would say I was a little late catching up to the show. But I think I saw that.
We just caught up like this during Christmas break is when we started watching it, so we're super late to this party.
Yeah, so
we're actually not caught up. We haven't finished.
Okay, whenever you're ready, you let me know. Whenever that's fine. No, you sure? No. You fool me 4 times, shame on me. So I'm just gonna go ahead and just wait for you. You sure? All right.
Can I finish?
So I saw it. I want to say the Juneteenth episode. We caught up on that show probably around the same time, November, December. But that episode we had already seen. So the Juneteenth episode is fantastic. I swear to God, the episode starts with them at a play, and it's like, why don't we talk about Juneteenth? Like they said it as a suggestion. Like the character said it as a suggestion to their teacher. To their kid's teacher, and I thought that was a fake thing. I was like, fuck it, because the way he delivered it was, he didn't know what he was going to be mad about. Like he was like, I'm mad because we're not, and like that was a whole jumping off point. So then the Juneteenth suggestion came up, and I was like, wait, what? And that's how I was like, wait, what? That's a thing? Is that a thing? What is that? And so but they're the ones that taught me. It's a fantastic show. But going back to the Jack and Diane thing, I love Jack and Diane when they were smaller. As the years have gone on, it's less of Jack and Diane and more of them. And again, this is life. That's what life is. They stopped becoming the twins and they started becoming their own individual people who have less and less to do with one another directly, in the sense of every storyline in the first 3 or 4 seasons was okay, and this is the Jack and Diane storyline. So whatever the main story was, even if Jack and Diane weren't the main story, it was going to be like, and then this is what the twins are doing. And in the last couple seasons, it's much more of the Diane thing. Like I think Diane has come into her own as she's a much more I don't want to say interesting, but a much more like
she is. She's very dynamic, whereas Jack is like a pretty simple character. He's cute and he's dumb. And
no,
so,
but that was in the beginning. Now it's like when he had to quit basketball and stuff like that. That was a big deal, and he didn't know what he was going to do with the rest. Like he didn't know how to even dream anymore. He had no more stuff. And so
that was a good episode.
That was a good couple arcs in there. But I'm saying that Diane, I think the Jack and Diane sibling relationship has, because of age and because of time, has kind of like not been the same, and again, that's life. They're doing a great job. The writing is a great. That's let's be realistic. The reason why, and if anybody has this but the reason why 2.5 Men was flailing at the end, besides the fact that Charlie Sheen wasn't on there anymore, was the fact that you had this kid who, when the show started, he was dumb and that was cute, and 10 years later, he's still dumb as fucking rocks, and you go, it's no longer cute anymore, dude. Now we're worried about you. Like there's some shit that's like you have to get fucking tested, and that's the writers are to blame for that. And in Blackish, they're not doing that. They're doing a great job of it. But I love Jack and Diane. I was having this conversation before. I was thinking about like what other siblings, and Junior really is much more, especially in the later seasons. He's much more of a father figure to like to Devontae, and to, like he's much more of a father figure than even sometimes Andre, which is hilarious in itself.
One of the episodes that Steph and I saw recently was, and this is after Devontae's been born. Rainbow is kind of just like fed up with how maternal he can be. He's constantly on her, like, hey, you got to do this and you got to do that. You got to make sure there's this thing with the baby. And she kind of just like pawns him off on her sister so that she can have like a moment to breathe from him. Like right away, you start seeing how like the household just tanks when he's not there to parent everyone.
He's great. All right, so
also this keeps up our trend of picking siblings who the actor playing their father has been accused of sexual assault.
Huh?
Yeah, Anthony Anderson was.
Oh, really?
Yeah, on the set of Hustle and Flow. I think it got thrown out. He was not he was not convicted, but he was.
I had no idea.
On the set of Hustle and Flow, and he did another sitcom all about the Andersons. I think it was called.
Yeah, I remember
that. Yeah.
Both of those shows, he's been accused. Both times it's been thrown out.
Accused of what though? Accused of what?
On Hustle and Flow, it was a full-blown assault. And on all of that,
Are we talking about a sexual assault, or are we talking about a physical assault?
No, sexual.
Oh, okay,
sexual
all right.
No.
Not that one is better than the other. I just wanted to get clarification.
Oh, right. No. Both
I see Stephanie's fucking judgmental face. Like, bitch, which one would you prefer?
No. I'm not judging you. I'm judging Anthony Anderson. You had a legitimate question.
The accusation associated with Hustle and Flow was much more severe than the one that went with this sitcom. But yeah, he's been accused twice.
No bueno. That sucks. I really like him.
Yeah, I know, me too. Like I said, they've both been thrown out.
But it's an accusation, though. Like, you can't.
Right.
I mean,
I know,
I've been accused of eating too much. Not all accusations are accurate, bro. Jeez. I said what I said, damn it. Let's move on. All right, Stephanie, what do you got for your number 3?
My number 3 is Nathan and Lucas Scott from One Tree Hill.
That's a great pick.
Nathan and who?
Lucas Scott.
Nathan.
Their last name is Scott.
One Tree Hill was the one with the chick from MTV, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, just making sure I got the right show in my head.
Yeah, the one that's married to Jeffrey D. Morgan.
Yep.
Yeah. The One Tree Hill is probably my favorite of the teen dramas. I was like the right target audience for it. It started in 2003 when I was sophomore in high school. So so the whole premise, the whole storyline of One Tree Hill is Nathan and Lucas's relationship. They have the same father and different mothers, and their dad is a hoe and got basically 2 women pregnant within a few months of each other, and then left the first one for the second one and stayed with her. So the brothers grew up in very different lifestyles, where Lucas and his mother were always struggling to make ends meet. Nathan grew up, very wealthy. His dad, it takes place in a really small town. It's shot in Wilmington, North Carolina. So it takes place in a very small town. Everybody knows each other, and they've always been rivals. And it's not until they get into high school that their friends group kind of cross paths more, that they begin to actually have interactions and change their relationship. And what I love about their relationship specifically is how much it develops and how much their mothers become friends despite everything that their father has put them through.
Yeah, when they start realizing that the other is not right, that the other is not the villain, that the other one is also a victim.
Right.
And that the villain is him, the guy that you've wanted the affection from. That's really where the growth comes from.
Right. So this is, I love One Tree Hill for a variety of reasons, but their growth, they probably grow the most because they have zero relationship other than the fact that they're technically blood related, and growing up to being, best friends and uncles to each other's children and etc. So.
That's another. I know One Tree Hill. I never really watched it. If you'd picked somebody from Dawson's Creek, I could have had this conversation. But
there's no siblings on Dawson's Creek.
Right, exactly.
There's Andy and I can't remember his name, but they weren't central to the storyline. So, but yeah, look, One Tree Hill is a huge undertaking. I would encourage you to do it. It's very sports heavy, and it's much about and it's very, very 2000s. So if you were a teenager or young adult in the early 2000s, it's very much indicative of that time. The music on that show is fantastic. It does a really good job of mixing that early 2000s alt rock with classic rock. It's really cool.
Okay.
I think that show also did a really good job of not assuming that its audience was stupid.
Yeah, it didn't.
Because Lucas becomes a writer, and so they often talk about literature and specific writers, and they'll digest some of that stuff academically, and it's just really smart. It's smartly written, and the characters are not brilliant beyond where a teenager should be.
Right. Which was a problem on Dawson's Creek, to be very honest. Dawson's Creek, they didn't really speak how teenagers speak. I think that this, and I like Dawson's Creek.
Wait, but that was the opposite problem with Dawson's Creek. Dawson's Creek thought their audience was way smarter than it was. It's not like they didn't think their audience was dumb. It was the other way around. I was like, no, you better catch up to our fucking dialogue. And and then as a 10-year-old, you're like, well, I don't know what the fuck that means. I don't know what I gotta fucking watch a show with a thesaurus.
I remember watching it when I was really young and like listening to Pacey say something to the teacher he was banging, and I'm like, who? At like 12, I was like, who talks like this?
Somebody banging their teeth.
Apparently.
Don't ever say an unkind word about Joshua Jackson.
You shut up. Yeah, he was great. I love that. I fucking.
Adam,
anyway,
was Adam Brody on that show, or was he on the
that's the OC. That's
okay.
the OC.
Okay, I was combining.
I'm very well versed in the teen drama, but One Tree Hill is one
the OC
of the more,
was a much dumber show.
Got it.
For sure. But One Tree Hill is probably one of the more dynamic. Their characters grow a lot. They touch on a lot of issues that are very relevant, where we're relevant. And there's a 3-episode arc about a school shooting that was done very shortly after Columbine that was phenomenal, that had this show not been a WB drama, I promise you, would have been nominated for Emmys because of this. Yeah, it's a big undertaking because it's a network drama, so each season's like 24 episodes and they're hour long. But it's all on Hulu, and if you ever find yourself with the time, I highly recommend it.
All right.
Just
Ooh, Hillary Burton's on it. I'm in.
Hillary Burton, Sophia Bush. Yeah.
Just to follow up, Seventh Heaven Dad, the last work that he did. Sorry.
Speaking of WB,
Seventh Heaven Dad.
You're so stuck on Stephen Collins.
He hasn't worked since 2014, which is the year that the NYPD came out with their investigation and that tape. So he hasn't worked since 2014, and the irony. And if we had the rights to it, I would love to play Alanis Morissette's Ironic in the background. The irony is the last work that he did was a movie called Penance, where he played a priest. So I'm not making that up. That's the reason I brought it up. I'm like, why would I bring? I'm like,
poetic.
It's
the role he'd been preparing his whole life for.
And I saw an episode once of the Law and Order SVU where he and the guy who played Warder Huntington Nerd and Legally Blonde were a father and son, and the kid did something rapey at like some whatever Ivy League school he was at, and his dad came in to like bail him out, and they were like these Vanderbilt douchey white guys.
Yeah.
Nice.
Sometimes these casting directors know what the fuck they're doing, man. Sometimes they're like, we gotta get,
Hey, look at Chris D'Elia.
Yeah.
Look at Chris D'Elia.
Look at Chris D'Elia.
No, literally,
just 2 different shows.
But literally, just look at Chris D'Elia. That's all you have to fucking do. Is literally just look at him and go, yeah.
Oh, I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. Yeah, that's right.
A little too on the nose there, guys. All right, so
Not acting.
Is it really acting?
The best gimmicks are yourself turned up to 11.
Oh boy. All right, so DeBono, what do we got for number 3?
My number 3 is my one animated edition. This is
a Stewie and Brian.
This is a brother and sister that if this show, I think that by the time this show is done with its run, if we were to do this episode again, they would be higher. I wanted to put them higher, but they haven't had enough time to develop. But I think that if the show continues in the trajectory that it is, they will continue to be absolutely one of the best. My number 3 is Morty and Summer Smith from Rick and Morty. Morty and Summer.
A lot of people on Facebook have this
because it's fantastic.
Because their relationship is absolutely incredible. Morty and Summer are the quintessential brother and sister that go to war over 95% of things in this world, and they can't stand each other. They don't ever want to be around each other. But when it's all said and done, when everything is on the line, nobody has Morty and Summer's back more than the other. They have both, in different situations, talked the other out of nearly suicidal depressions and situations where they're coming off of just absolutely horrible things and have managed to pull the other one back from the very, very edge. Like I said, I would like to have them higher, but they just don't have the clout that some of these others do with so many seasons of character development behind them. But Morty and Summer, you turn on an episode of Rick and Morty, and most of the time, if they're both on there, they hate each other. They can't stand each other. They want nothing to do with the other one.
A lot of times they don't even interact. A lot of times it's kind of like they're very much like, it's almost like if it's the scene is Morty and Rick and Summer walks in, like Morty would leave. Like it's one of those things where it's like, where's that dumbass going? Oh, he's going to school or whatever. Like it's just one of those.
And so, right. And from that aspect, I can see where it seems weird to put them on here, but those moments when they're together, you realize that their relationship is as much a keystone of the show as anybody's. For anybody who doesn't watch Rick and Morty on a regular basis, yes, it's sci-fi, quirky, nonsense comedy, but it's a family drama. When it's all said and done, what makes Rick and Morty are the relationships between this family. And Morty and Summer's relationship is just incredible. Because, like I said, they have literally almost killed each other before. Like, have actually, like, fought and used weapons and beaten each other half to death. But also, they have both known very deep, dark depressions because of different things that have happened and have had nobody to fall back on except for the other one. And that's when you realize that their relationship is so real and so palatable for somebody who has siblings to know that there can simultaneously be nobody in the world that you hate more and nobody in the world that you love more.
I think in the second season, maybe the third season, where I think it's the second season where Summer finally joins on like with some of the kind of crazy adventures that they go on, and she's with them for a couple of episodes, and you kind of see them finally start to interact a little bit there.
Like the Mad Max episode. Like
right. Oh, man, what a great episode.
Oh, yeah. It's God, I can't think of the name of it. It's Rick Mancing the Stone is the name of that episode. And it's like a Mad Max style episode. But yeah, like their relationship and their parents' recent separation is the core of that episode. And the two of them simultaneously trying to deal with that while trying to understand how the other one is dealing with it, and giving enough breathing room to the other one to deal with it how they need to, but also being their tether to reality as they jump to what is literally a Mad Max dimension. It's so unbelievably real. And Rick and Morty is a show that took me a long time to come around to because the fans, as a general rule, are insufferable. And it's one of those shows that can be hard.
Are they worse than Harry Potter fans?
No.
Okay, like
there's
Harry
no such
Potter
thing
fans
as
are
worse than Harry Potter fans.
Right, but here's the thing. Rick and Morty fans think that solely by the fact that they're a Rick and Morty fan, then they're smarter than you. Like, Harry Potter fans may think they're better, but at least they're not questioning my intelligence.
Got it.
Well,
like, if you tell them that
wait,
you're not a fan, they're like, oh, it's because you're not smart.
It's kind of like here's the thing, though. Harry Potter fans are questioning your intelligence because they think that they're better than you because they like Harry Potter. Do you understand how, like, that's like, hey, you're not cool enough, you're not smart enough to like Harry Potter, therefore I'm better than you.
For them, the thing is, I think you're right about Harry Potter. I don't think it's smart. I think it's woke. They think they're woke, and you're not because you get into this world that a really hateful racist created. You know, homophobe.
Just a bigot.
Transphobic.
Is she racist?
Too,
yeah.
Was she racist?
Oh, I don't know. I know she's transphobic.
Yeah, transphobic.
Yeah,
is that racist?
Super transphobic. Like she's
no.
Like I said, bigot's a better word.
Very problematic.
Yeah. Bigot's a better word.
Become very problematic.
Yeah, but anyway, so like I said, it's hard to get into unless you get in at the ground floor. But as you watch their character development and their relationship develop over what is 4 seasons now, it's incredible. They're two very well-written characters on what is very easy to write off as a nonsensical Adult Swim mishmash of garbage. Like, without watching it, it's very easy to not understand what makes Rick and Morty great. But when you do watch it, you understand that it's the relationships and that it is a family drama and that Morty and Summer are quintessential to each other's lives. and just they're a great sibling pairing. Like I said, if we were to do this episode in 6 years, they would probably be higher on my list because they still have time to develop their relationship.
It's a great pick, man. I love it.
Yeah, I'm one of those insufferable Rick and Morty fans. So yeah, I'm in. Me and Jeff got on Dave hard as fuck. We're like, you haven't watched? What the fuck? Who are you? Like we were just.
It was sometime last year, and I think season 3 had ended, and they were like,
it takes forever for them to put them on Hulu.
They were like. They were talking about it, and I was like, yeah, I haven't seen it, and it doesn't really look like my thing. And they're like, bro, you're fucking, like, just...
That's absurd.
Awful.
That's absurd. Like,
yeah.
But to hear David of all people say Rick and Morty doesn't seem like my thing. It's like, do you like animation? Check. Do you like science fiction? Check. Do you like raw, fucking adult language? Crude. Check. It's like, what the fuck is it? What are we talking about? Do you like science? Check. Like, who the fuck are, like, this was made for fucking David, and it was absurd. Like, we were just insulted. We're like, this is.
And you know what it is? It's like the bonus says, is that the fans of the show are so rabid about it.
Yes, like the whole Szechuan sauce thing where they're like, Rick and Morty said it's great, so McDonald's has to bring it back.
They did though.
Anything
and they did though.
To me, anything that is so like just creates rabid fans like that, I immediately am turned off to it.
Hey man, I'm with you.
Literally everything that you like.
but a lot of those things I came
like
to
organically. Like a populace of rabid fans. Not like also, me and David just sit around loving Blade Runner.
Right, well, and that's the thing is
you
that...
You are the only people I know that are like that passionate about Blade Runner. But you get to a lot of shit that a lot of people like. So slow your roll there, sir.
The thing is that a lot of the things that I love, I have been loving since before the internet and before you knew.
Classic Metallica fan.
No,
right, yeah. But
he's such a hipster. He's such a hipster. And like, I like this shit before you like it, bro.
What a fucking tool bag you sound like right now.
What I'm trying to say is that I these things were a part of my...
You just came to it organically. Just say you came to it organically, not because of the fucking wild fan base pressured you into it. Just say that.
That's what I said. I said that earlier. I came to it organically, and so I later learned that there is a rabid fan base. So, yes, there is a rabid Star Trek fan base, right? I mean, that one you kind of knew going into it that, there was a rabid Star Trek fan base, but, not everything. Like, I didn't know that there was a huge Doctor Who fan base when I first got into Doctor Who.
I'll give you that one because I did the same thing.
I thought that it was like an old sci-fi TV show from the times of like, the Prisoner and stuff like that. And I just kind of got into it, and then I come to find out that it's just as bad as the Harry Potter fans. Like, listen, you're not into Doctor Who.
We're getting off. We're going off on tangents. We're going off on tangents. Let's try to. And I completely just to
episode idea: worst fan bases.
and here's the thing. I'm with you guys. I'm completely aware. I'm going through it right now as we speak. I'm watching everybody lose their shit over Hamilton, and I'm like, all right, guys. Let's move on with the conversation. Let's move on to another topic. And then, no, I want to talk about Hamilton right now. And I'm like, oh, fuck me. All right. So.
Does Metallica sound warmer on vinyl?
Oh, it does.
They do.
So much warmer.
All
right. So Morty and Summer. So my number 3 is Adam and Barry Goldberg.
Oh, what a great fucking pick, dude.
That is a great pick.
Adam.
The Schmoopy and Big Tasty. What a great fucking pick.
Now, that's one that I've only seen a couple episodes of.
Oh, Goldberg
you need to watch that.
What a great show, dude.
I think.
Oh my god, what a fucking fantastic show.
I think current sitcoms in the last 10 years, I think that would be up there as one of the best sitcoms in the last.
Okay.
It's never been nominated for any Emmys.
It's so fucking good. I would put. I mean, my favorite shows on TV right now are Brooklyn Nine-Nine and The Goldbergs. Those are my favorite sitcoms. Those are my favorite. It's so good. It's so good. Go.
When I finish my Rock of Love rewatch, I'll be looking for something else.
I don't even know where to go with that. Adam and Barry Goldberg.
Because it's the best trash ever put on TV.
Well, until you watch 90 Day Fiance, let's hold off on that. Let's hold off on that, sir. Let's hold off on that. I see your dumpster and raise you a dumpster fire. Adam and Barry Goldberg are fantastic. I love the fact that their relationship has evolved, and yet they still find ways, because of Barry's absolute fucking sociopathic behavior, they still find ways that even though he's in college and at the end of the current season, Adam is about to graduate high school, they still find ways to be able to fucking punch each other and roll around on the fucking floor, where Barry is, like the show started off with like Barry being obviously older and taller than Adam, and now it's like, oh, I'm beating up on my little brother, but it's like, your little brother's taller than you, so I don't know how this is gonna fucking work. It's kind of like what they did with Carlton and Fresh Prince, where like Carlton's a little nerd, and then it's like, oh look, Carlton's still the nerd. Is like, wait, but he has a fucking six-pack, right? Like, we're all fucking gonna just pretend.
Jacked, yeah. Watch him in this strip club.
Yeah, like we're just all supposed to like turn a blind eye to the fact that this guy has a completely muscular body and he's the quote unquote nerd. Like, all right, that's fine. Fuck it. Let's go with it. Change the Aunt Viv or fucking go with it. But I love Adam and Barry Goldberg. I had a very difficult choice between Adam and Barry Goldberg and Barry and Erica Goldberg, because those two are also fantastic. When I ran this list by Missy, our friend Missy, and my wife separately, I was hoping that them two would talk me out of it and make me go with like try to talk me into Erica and Barry, and they both of them did say the same thing. They're like, what about Barry and Erica? And I was like, yeah, I know, I got no reason not to put them on there. And they're like, yeah, but Barry and Adam are very good. Like, so
no, I think it's the better choice. I love Erica, but I think Barry.
Here's what I will say. Here's what I will say about that. This is my pick, and I'll still critique it fairly. I think Adam and Barry in the earlier seasons are a better sibling relationship.
That's what I was going to say.
And
Barry and Erica are good now.
Barry and Erica, for the last 2 seasons that they've been in college, have been fucking amazing. And I think that's just
they're good now.
That's a not just a writing issue, but that's a issue of more screen time together. I mean, that's a thing. They're literally living together at some point. I mean, living together alone, obviously not in the house, but it's great.
That's one of the reasons why neither of them made my list, is because we got like 3 really good seasons of really like Barry and Adam, and we've gotten like 2 or 3 really good seasons now of Barry and Erica. But we never really have gotten them throughout like the whole show.
Right. Yeah, I'm with you.
I also think that there's a lot of quality there, but there's not necessarily a lot of quantity. Like we see a lot more interaction of like Barry and the JTP and Adam and like Pops early on,
JTP,
and then Adam and his friends JTP. And not as much of the siblings together, but what you do have with the siblings is fucking gold, man.
It's Goldberg.
It's Goldberg.
The fact that Barry Goldberg goes on to be like, and this is not a spoiler, like they say this early on, like goes on to do professionally what he.
You're covering a mic. You're covering a mic.
I am so sorry. I said that the fact that Barry Goldberg goes on to do professionally what he ends up doing is mind-blowing to me. Yeah. Because if he was an ace of the fucking shenaniganizer that he is on that show, because I know it's obviously exaggerated, but if he's even like in his little, like his left pinky that bad, I cannot even believe that he accomplishes what he accomplishes.
Well, you know, some people who some people who are grumpy and angry grow up to be things like doctors and teachers. All right.
They sure do.
We do.
All right. So
a lot of people blame my grumpiness and angriness on my height, when in fact, it's not a Napoleon complex. I'm just an asshole.
Nobody's doubting it. Nobody's going to fight you on this at all. No. Everybody's like, all right, well, he's self-aware. The replicant have been self-aware. The replicant is self-aware. So
no lies detected.
All right. Moving on. So our number 3s, are Jack and Diane Johnson, Nathan and Lucas from One Tree Hill, Morty and Summer from Rick and Morty, and Adam and Barry Goldberg from The Goldbergs.
Round 2.
Dose, the sequel to Uno.
All right. Dave, what you got for number 2? What you
My
got?
number 2 is nice. My number 2 is a sibling duo that I came across fairly recently, like in the last maybe year and a half, and I just immediately fell in love with them. And it's David and Alexis Rose from Schitt's Creek.
Table that shit.
Oh, okay.
David and Alexa.
Oh, it's a good ass pick.
Rose. I do appreciate the fact that this is the first table that we've had.
Yeah.
All right. Stephanie, what's your number 2?
My number 2 is Claire and Mitchell Pritchett, or Claire Dunphy and Mitchell Pritchett from Modern Family.
It's a great pick.
Modern Family has a lot of really good options. Like Blackish has a lot of great options, but for me, Claire and Mitchell really do evolve as siblings over the course of the show, and it's very, very subtle. And I didn't realize really how much they changed and how much their relationship grew until this last season, when I don't want to, if people, I don't know who's seen it, who's not seen it, but there was a death this last season, and I didn't realize how much they grew until it rocked their world, especially for Claire, because Claire was kind of not estranged, but did not have a good relationship with this character. And to see her leaning on Mitchell and Mitchell, what he does for her, and like just that's when it kind of hit me, like how much they've actually, grown together. They very much do the thing, the sibling thing of like, they call each other out on their bullshit. They dredge up shit from like when they were kids. And in this past season, there's this episode where they go on, they try to steal an ice skating trophy back from their school. So they break into their school to come and take it back home. And and Claire is very, very type A. So is Mitchell. Like they're very, very type A people. And you don't really see two type A people like interact a lot, and you don't. So I find that dynamic really interesting because they're both very neurotic and tightly wound, so they're similar, but they're still very different. They both have the relationship that they have with Jay. Also, it's Claire is like his golden child, and Mitchell, because he's gay, has always had. Jay had a hard time, coming to terms with that and finally accepting that. So I love that show. That's a show for me that is pretty consistent throughout its entire run. There's a lot of great relationships on that show in general, whether it's sibling, spousal, whatever. But that's my other thing.
I'm a couple seasons behind on that, so I don't know the death you're talking about.
Okay.
But
I'm glad I didn't say anything.
Oh no, it's fine. No, it's not anything I would be upset about. It's a show that I excuse me, really do like when I watch it. It's just one that I never really think about, but I always think about them ice skating. Like when I think about their relationship, I think about when you first learned about them ice skating together. Yeah. And I think you're right in the fact that it's weird that they're presented as immediately being so similar, and it's on you to find the differences. Whereas so often you're drawn to these sibling pairings that are so different, and then like you find these like really like charming moments where they're the same. They're both presented, you're right, it's like as type A and really tightly wound. So then when you find those moments and they both like dudes, and then you find those moments where they are different, and that's what makes them as interesting as others that we're talking about, where you find the times that make them the same that are
right. I really appreciate their relationship.
All right.
I love this pick. I can't add any more to what anyone else said, but
Thank
just
you.
wanted to say I love it.
All right. DeBono, what do you got for your number 2?
So my number 2 is the first of 2 picks I have that are 2 of 3 siblings. And I knew that I wanted these families in it, and I had to figure out which of the 2 I was going to pick. My number 2 is our siblings that made each other better, whereas I think that the third sibling made either one of these people worse, and that's why I put these 2 together. My number 2 are Jaime and Tyrion Lannister.
That's a great pick. It's in honor of the Lannisters or an honorable mention for me.
And so, initially I was like, man, the Lannisters are so fucking weird, right? And I don't know how I feel about that. But when you look at Game of Thrones as a whole, anytime that Jaime and Tyrion were interacting, they were both learning to be better people. And so much hinged on the fact that they needed each other. Jaime thought he needed Cersei just right up until the very end, unfortunately. But who Jaime actually needed was Tyrion. And Tyrion needed Jaime to be his connection to, for lack of a better word, the regular world, because he had spent so much time as the outcast and the one that nobody wanted anything to do with. And what's bizarre about that is Tyrion was also Jaime's anchor to what it's like to be normal and not Lannister royalty asshole. And so they desperately needed each other, even though, till the very end of the show, neither one of them would probably ever admit it. They always made each other a better person. They were always there for each other when they could and needed to be. They helped each other through everything with I'm just going to assume people have watched Game of Thrones be at it, with Jaime losing his hand and with Tyrion needing a champion, and things like that. They were always there for each other, and their character.
He helped him get out when he killed Tywin.
And their character arcs were so insanely twisted together, not like twisted in a bad way, just twisted.
Right.
That
interwound.
There we go. Much better word. Yeah. That one could never have been what they were by the end without the other one. This is a show where we've seen their entire story arc play out, and we saw where they started and we saw where they ended. And throughout that, you can just watch as the 2 of them interacted and were always what the other one needed to be a better human being, just in general. Did they both end up being great human beings? No. But they made the other one better, and it was Cersei who always stood to make them worse. And so that's why I think these were the 2 that I needed to pick, because of the fact that they needed each other. Jaime thought that who he needed was Cersei, but who he really needed, who he needed to live a fulfilling life, was Tyrion. And Tyrion needed Jaime to remind him that he could be bigger and better things. And
bigger,
right? I realized it after I said it, but he could be better than just the drunken whoremongering dwarf. Which I'm not being bigoted. Those are the words that they use in Game of Thrones.
Don't be judging.
They're both great characters. Just absolutely incredible characters. Jamie Lannister, I pulled for right until the absolute bitter end.
What a disappointing end to a character.
All over my heart.
I mean, we can go on and on about that ending.
I know, but
I loved it.
And
all right, so you were saying.
So yeah. Anyway, like I said, so just Jamie and Tyrion being together made for an incredible duo. They were amazing together. I think that everything they did was for the benefit of themselves and directly that other one. I think that anything and everything they did, the other one was always who was in the back of their head helping to guide those choices, especially when it was with Jamie, when it was areas of humanity. He had to have Tyrion in the back of his head to keep him level. And with Tyrion, it was issues of power and things like that, where he had to have Jamie and his viewpoint in the back of his head to help him understand the best ways to do things. And I think that Jamie and Tyrion just were absolutely the power couple of Game of Thrones. So they are my number 2.
When you were first describing how you made your list, this was the sibling duo that popped into my head.
Yeah. I think that they so are like so many sibling rivalries that rivalry makes both of you a better person.
Right. That's a great pick.
Okay. My number 2 is the brother and sister. It's the girl that Ross was dating with her brother.
Oh, so your pick isn't all?
I'm kidding. That episode of Friends always makes me laugh when Ross is dating this chick and then she has a creepy, inappropriate relationship with her brother. And
it's Rachel that's dating the guy that has an inappropriate.
That's right. That's what it is. It's Rachel. No, is it Rachel?
Yeah, it's Danny. That's the name of the guy.
And isn't Rebecca Romaine a sister?
No, Rebecca Romaine is the girl that Ross dates. That's the dirty girl.
Yes, yeah. I always love that episode. I always love that episode where Joey's like, "Oh yeah, I'm sorry, that sucks," and he's like, "Yeah, that's her sister," and he's like, "That's her sister?" Like that was so fucking great. No, I'm kidding. My number 2 is arguably the most realistic brother relationship that I've seen on TV. It is Ray and Robert Barone.
I love this pick. It didn't make my mountain, but I love this pick.
I thought about that, but I just can't stand that show.
Yeah, I don't know. We've talked about this before, right? That you just don't like it, and I'm like, I love that fucking show.
I'm like, and I can't even pinpoint what it is I don't like about it. I just can't get behind that show.
That show's fantastic.
I'm with you.
Ray and Robert Barone, it is the most realistic relationship. It is it's this whole like jealousy of the younger sibling and this whole dynamic of it's all perpetrated by the mom. You know, the mom clearly treats Ray better than Robert. Robert's jealous of that, takes it out on Ray, and they go back and forth, and everything between, everything from how Robert eats food by touching his chin to it first, to Ray making fun of Robert's height. Like, it's so much other, like, it's so, and they constantly fighting, they're constantly busting balls, they're constantly making fun of each other. But yeah, then you see those moments. The series finale is a perfect example of them being siblings, where Ray has to have a medical procedure done, and they say it's not a big deal, whatever. And Ray says, Robert says, if you need blood, I'm not gonna do shit. I'm not gonna donate blood. Like, I just don't. Like, he doesn't like needles. It's a whole thing. He makes it a point in the beginning of the episode. Then it turns out that he wasn't waking up from the anesthesia. That there was a problem with him waking up in the anesthesia. Immediately, Robert hears, is there a problem? Look, what does he need? Does he need blood? I could donate. I donate. Here, take my blood. Like, it immediately jumps in. And there was a tender moment within this crazy, like, exaggerated moment. Because, you never, as an audience member, never got a sense that Ray was going to fucking die in the series finale. But you did get a sense of, like, oh, that's a perfect brother example. Like, I'm going to talk shit to your face all fucking day. But when the chips are down, and something really happens, I'm not gonna blink and hesitate to be your fucking brother, to volunteer to be that guy. Another episode is when Ray finally goes on a ride along, because Robert, being a cop, he goes on a ride along and he gets to see Robert being this badass cop. He never took him serious as anything, and when he gets to see him as a cop, and he couldn't let it go. He's like, "No, you were great, you were fantastic," and he kept trying to tell other people in the family how great Robert is as a cop, and nobody could care. Like, it was one of those things where nobody took him serious, and you can see that the Ray got this whole new sense of respect for Robert. Then I mean, there's certain episodes where you just go, but 90% of the time they're just busting on each other's balls. They're just making fun of each other. I was going to say
that happens so infrequently. But I think that because they knew that they played so well off each other, and that sort of
but that's life,
squabbling way.
But that's life, though. Life with siblings is 90 to 95% of I'm just gonna bust your balls. Where we're not getting touchy feely every single time we see each other. Like, that's not fucking a thing. Right. Like, life is just like, you're my brother and you're a fucking idiot. Remember that time you fucking hit me when we were kids? You're a dick and blah blah. But when those 5% of life comes around, and you'll be like, hey, it's real time. That's when, that's the whole point of being, that's the whole sibling dynamic. I think that's why I think it's the most realistic, because 95% of the time it's just Ray and Robert making fun of each other. And it's just, and they do a great job at that. But I love that relationship.
And I will absolutely say, it's the mom that kills that show for me, but it is their relationship that is
the fucking best part of the show.
Like, it really is the best part of the show that kills that show for me. Like, what the fuck did he just say? Are you what?
Man.
But their relationship is, and anytime I've ever seen the show, it is absolutely the funniest part of the show to me, is seeing the two of them interact. So while I'm not a huge fan of the show, I do really like the pick, because they are great together.
I just love that show. But quick story, if you guys ever watch, the cast won like a TV Land Award right after the series ended. Maybe like a year after the series ended, or the year that the series ended. One of those two. It was like a TV Land Award or whatever, and they won they won. It was like a commemorative, it was like a Lifetime Achievement Award, or the equivalent of a Lifetime Achievement Award for the entire cast. Yeah. And they went up on stage, and they were the last ones to be to be presented, because they were the award of the night, and they went up on stage and everybody had a time to talk. The entire family, including the children, were there. The kids who played the kids, the actors that played the kids, I'm sorry. So they went on and everybody had their say, and thank you very much. And I forget his name, Robert, I forget his name, Greg Barrett,
Brad Garrett.
Greg Barrett is another guy.
I love the fact that I should just switch the first letter of each name. So Brad Garrett goes on stage and demolishes. I'm talking about, look, as a fucking professional stand-up comedian, I could watch this guy's go up, and he destroyed the fucking room, making fun of Ray Romano. Hey, take a look, look over here. Those are what the kids look like. And he just destroyed Ray Romano. Like, the whole room was fucking in stitches. It was fantastic. And then he gets out, and then he steps aside, and Ray Romano steps onto the microphone, and he's laughing, and he goes, man, that was good. Maybe if you were that funny, maybe the show would have gone on for a couple more years. And it's like, immediately he fucking lets him know, motherfucker, I'm Ray motherfucking Romano. I'm one of the best stand-up comedians of all time. And it was like one of those things where it was so great.
Don't forget who signs your checks.
Yeah, it was so great. It was like that. He's like, oh man, that was good. Maybe if you would have been that funny during the show, we would have had like a couple more seasons. Immediately just put you in check. Like, all right, just fucking recognize who you're talking to. And that was fucking great, man. But again, that relationship transcended on screen. That relationship came off through the screen. So that's my number 2. So for number 2s, we have David and Alexa Rose. Claire. Alexis?
Yeah.
Alexis Rose. Claire and Mitchell Dunphy. And Jamie and Tyrion Lannister. And Ray and Robert Barone. Honorable mentions. What do we got?
All right. Let me go to our Facebook. Steph, you wanna give yours?
I can give mine. I have a lot of them because
you got 4. You have 4. That's what you have.
This is America still.
Okay.
And
Well, I'm somebody with a soundboard. I'm going to go ahead and say I'm someone with a soundboard, and you have 4.
So this is despite this being my choicing category, this is actually very hard for me to do. So honorable mentions for me will be TJ and Stephanie Tanner. Just because I grew up watching Full House and their relationship on Fuller House now has really developed a lot. I know that they're not a duo, but the Blues from Arrested Development, I feel have to at least be mentioned because they're amazing.
Particularly Michael and Job.
Particularly Michael and Job, yeah.
Michael and Job.
They barely made it to my number 4. It was just I wanted to put an animated one.
Yeah. And then also everybody else has pretty much kind of already been mentioned. But I was this close from putting John Ralphio and Mona Lisa Saperstein on this list just because
they were going to be my number 4. If somebody had questioned, if somebody was going to question Will and Carlton, that's why I was more than happy. I would be like, if you guys don't want to let me have this, go fine, take it away from me, because I immediately was going to be like John Ralphio and Mona Lisa.
Hands down, my favorite Parks and Rec character.
They're just so ancillary to the show. They do nothing to move the story along whatsoever. But they're so ridiculous, and they hate each other so much. But it's that last episode with the fucking "Don't be suspicious."
Don't be suspicious. Don't be suspicious.
Really,
don't be suspicious.
Oh, okay.
Don't
so they do have some kind of relationship.
She's my sister from the same mister.
Don't be suspicious. Don't be suspicious. All right. So, what do we got for Facebook? What do we got for the listener
on
picks?
the Facebook? We've got John Evans gave us Monica and Ross Geller, Dennis and Dee Reynolds, Clarissa and Ferguson Darling.
Oh my God! Yes, Clarissa Ferguson.
What a great pick, Ferguson!
Oh, what a pick! And Chuck and Ellie Bartowski.
I don't know who that is. I don't know who Chuck and Ellie Bartowski is. Is that from Chuck?
I don't think so. I watched a bit of Chuck, and I don't remember him having.
Oh no, he had a sister. That's a fact. I just don't remember their last name, and I don't remember. I don't remember.
Chuck Bartowski. That's from Chuck.
Oh, okay.
That's from Chuck. Yeah, he had a sister.
So Jemiah had at number 4 Morty and Summer, number 3 Rudy and Denise, number 2 Lisa and Bart, and number 1 Alex and Jennifer from Family Ties. Honorable mentions: he had Jack and Diane, Brandon and Brenda. Charlie and Alan from 2.5 Men, and Lip and Ian from Shameless.
Brandon and Brenda's a solid pick.
Brandon and Brendan are, yeah.
I considered them for a minute.
Yeah.
Dave Lamont put Bart and Lisa Simpson, Niles and Fraser Crane, Tom and Dick Smothers, Ross and Monica. Pete Perez put Keenan and Kel. That's it. It's a statue. Very, very nice statue.
I don't even think were Keenan and Kel brothers.
I don't think they're brothers. I mean,
just best friends.
Yeah, but okay. My friend and yours.
Who did you mention? My AirPods died for a second. Sorry.
Keenan and Kel.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. No, they're just friends. They're not brothers.
Right. My friend and yours, Louis Essman, has number 4 Pete and Pete, number 3 Tia and Tamara, number 2 Bart and Lisa, number 1 Ross and Monica. Jason Santiago has at number 4 Cersei and Jamie Lannister. Number 3
that's the wrong
Dexter. It's an interesting relationship. Dexter and Deborah Morgan.
Oh, Dexter and Deborah.
This guy has 2 incest siblings on his mouth.
No, Dexter and Deborah weren't incestuous.
It doesn't matter. They were raised together.
It may not have
been a great pick though. I'm
DeBona, hang on a second.
No.
On a porn site, would that be called an incest video? Yes, it would. All right.
But on a porn site, they're also not actually related. So I don't know what the fuck we're talking about. Why would you bring that up as an example?
Seriously, Dexter and Deborah is a really, really good pick because that is another one where those are 2 siblings that needed each other to stay grounded.
I really would have considered that had they not, if they didn't try to hook them up randomly in the show for 4 seconds. the fact that that was even in there was like disrespectful in my opinion. But yeah, I agree. Otherwise, like as a brother and sister, they're good, but don't stop trying to make Spark happen because no.
Jason's number 2 was Lip and Ian Gallagher, and number 1 Lisa and Bart Simpson. Daniel Wagner says no one is going to say Sweet D and Dennis Reynolds. Alex Swarley put Sam and Dean from Supernatural, Morty and Summer from Rick and Morty, Corey and Eric Matthews, Boy Meets World, Ross and Monica from Friends. Honorable mentions to Nathan and Lucas from One Tree Hill, Tia and Tamara, Pete and Pete, and DJ and Stephanie Tanner. But he put Fuller House. He specifically put Fuller House.
Their relationship was better on Fuller.
He's like, I want to make sure we pick the shittier series. Just making sure. I want to go ahead and clarify. I want the shittier series on file.
It's the exact same series.
It's the exact same series.
Here's the problem. Here's the problem when you have the exact same series. When you have the exact same series 30 years later, when the world has changed and you still have the exact same series, it makes it by default the shittier series. Because you no longer have the prism of time to be like, well, in this time
and
it was
the
different.
first one wasn't good.
I'm with you on that. That first one is pure nostalgia. That's the only reason why anyone likes it, me included. So, and then we have our friend Jeffrey here, our brother, to keep it family related. At number 4, Malcolm and Reese, who was a couple I considered.
I couldn't pick between the 3. Like, I couldn't just put 2 of them together, so I left them off.
Because Malcolm and Dewey's pretty good, too. And actually, Reese and Dewey are really good.
I don't know. What show is this?
Yeah.
What show is it? I have
Malcolm in the middle.
Oh, okay.
And just any pairing of the 3 brothers is so good, I couldn't just put 2 of them on my list.
Correct.
He put Job and Buster. I personally prefer Job and Michael, but Job and Buster's
Buster's relationship is better with Lucille. It's not.
Yeah, it's Buster and Lucille.
Yeah.
His number 2 was Fraser and Niles, and number 1 Sam and Dean Winchester, which I think any one of us could have called.
Yep.
He literally texted me and said, I'm very proud of my list. And I said, I haven't looked at it yet. I'm going to go ahead and assume you have the guys from Supernatural and Niles and Fraser. And he goes, I'm not a monster. And I'm like, all right, well, that's Again, I haven't even looked at his list now. This is the first time I'm hearing of his list, and I'm like, yeah, no, I caught 2 of those.
And I'm going to say this right now that they've been brought up. So hopefully, if they're, I'm guessing based on reactions there, and we know what Stephanie's number 1 is, that they're nobody's number 1. My issue with Sam and Dean is while they're great together, 90% of that show could have been avoided if the other one weren't lying to the other one. So much
I've
of the
never seen an episode of Supernatural
is every season after like season 2 is strictly centered around Sam or Dean lying to the other one about something, and at the 2/3 mark for Act 3, they're like, "I've been lying, and now all hell's breaking loose," quite literally, and it's like, fuck.
It's been 15 years of that bullshit.
Yes, it's been 15 years of. I was doing the best for you, so I didn't want you to know. Like, God damn it, I love you, Jansen Ackles, but quit fucking around.
All right, what else?
All right, so our honorable mentions. I've talked about all but 2 of them. So Lucas and Erica Sinclair from Stranger Things. That was this last season.
Erica Sinclair is...
So this last season, seasons 1 and 2, I think are like neck and neck. They're both like fantastic.
Honorable mentions. We're
but season 3, you really get okay. So then the other honorable mention, and I didn't think about this. I thought about it briefly yesterday, and I forgot about it because that's my thing until you mentioned Morty and Summer. But Yumulak and Jesse from Solar Opposites are so fucking good. And if it wouldn't be for the fact that they've only had 1 season and it's only been 8 episodes, I can guarantee you that it would have made my mouth.
Yeah.
Because those 2 together are fucking unstoppable.
That episode where she's trying to teach him that being nice is all that matters, and it completely fucking backfires. is so fucking good. They go into the biker bar, and it's like, it's not me, it's the suit. Oh, fuck, dude. It's so good, dude. It's so good.
The episode where they're told at the very beginning by the principal, listen, you have to be on time every single day. You can't miss school anymore. And that's the last day before they go on summer break. And so they show up every day from summer, and they think that it's some sort of test, and they're teaching each other.
Yeah. It's fucking great.
Throughout the whole summer break. And so, like, she's teaching him, like, through rap. And it's just fucking, it's so awesome.
It's great.
They're so fantastic together.
DeBono, what do you got for honorable mentions?
My honorable mentions, probably the most realistic, I think, brother relationship I've seen on TV, Eric and Corey Matthews from Boy Meets World.
That's a great choice.
Are very, very good. One that would have maybe made my list if they'd had more time together are Buffy and Dawn Summers.
Yep.
Dawn is so hated by the Buffy fandom, though.
I know she is, but I think that Buffy.
I don't get it, but people hate her.
But here's the little asterisk, right? Here's a little question mark. Is that her sister? Because she's actually made from a piece of Buffy, so that would make her a clone-ish. Right. So that's a thing of like, yeah.
Hence honorable mention.
No, I'm with you. Look, she's on my honorable mentions too. They're on my honorable mentions. We're me and you on the same page, buddy.
Michael Schofield and Lincoln Burrows from Prison Break. I think
forgot about that show.
Yeah, that show really went off the rails and got super weird, but they were great together.
My favorite part of that show is when they became legends.
Exactly.
They're in Legends of Tomorrow, and they play friends, and it's the whole thing. It's the same actors.
And my last one was one that I desperately wanted to make my list, but for the same reason that I couldn't pick between any of the Reese brothers, I could not pick any two of these sisters. So my last one is a pairing. It's a quadruplet: Prue, Piper, Paige, and Phoebe. I couldn't just pick two of them to put together, but I love Charm, and the whole show is their relationship. It is the absolute reason the show exists. Like I said, I couldn't pick just two of them, so that's why they had to slide that in.
I wanted to pick the Starks, like some amalgamation of the Starks, but I couldn't figure out just two of them alone. Because you needed, like, I really considered just Sansa and Arya, but you can't do that. I couldn't do that. You can't do that.
Because Sansa's an awful fucking sister.
And the closest I got to put
fuck out of here.
Sansa's an awful sister, bro.
Put in the Starks on here.
The Queen of the North.
The closest I got to put in the Starks on here was Sansa and Jon, but then like you said, I couldn't leave Arya.
That's the thing is, how do you leave Arya out of that? Yeah. So.
Well, the
you
one
don't.
that I bumped.
The answer is you don't. You put Arya there, you take Sansa out. That's just the answer. I'm going to put that.
You never leave Sansa out.
Sansa. Awful sister.
In fact, everybody left Sansa out, and she was one of the last ones standing.
Yes, because she was an awful sister. Because she was an awful sister. We're not talking about how badass she is. She's badass. We get it. She's an awful sister.
By doing the best for her entire family and all of her people, right?
At the end. But let's hey, Prince Joffrey.
We can't develop characters.
Prince Joffrey's an asshole. Prince Joffrey's an asshole. Right? Isn't that right, Sansa? No, I don't know what you're talking about, sister. I'm gonna fucking go against you. Oh, and by the way, I'm fucking kill the baby wolf.
She was a little girl.
Kill the baby wolf.
When you're that age.
So what? Anya was younger than her and still was a fucking good person even then. Don't fucking put it on age. Fucking father from Seventh Heaven. Don't blame age for this.
Arya, okay, first off, Arya not always a great person. She was a revenge-driven.
Exactly.
Hey, we're not talking about great person. We're not talking about great person. We're not talking about great person. We're talking about great sister. She was a great sister always. Great person. Hey, man. Fucking, bad people make great siblings, and great siblings make bad people. Those are the examples I'm trying to give you.
Every person she killed was for her family.
Exactly.
Everything Sansa did was for her family.
Except
everything.
Except in the very first season when she could have fucking said, Joffrey was a fucking complete.
Married off to a psychopath and stayed.
No, before that. That's the second season.
First season. On top of that,
very first season, she was just fucking. Hey, kill the wolf.
Do you
kill the wolf.
Write the essay title in defense of Sansa Stark with me? You want to co-author that with me?
I do.
Okay. All right.
Nobody's saying that she wasn't a great queen. We're not saying that. We're just saying that she wasn't a good sibling. Not until the very fucking last season. That's all I'm saying. Sibling.
Wrong,
the conversation is about siblings. Jesus, she sold out her family in the first season. I don't understand. And then Stephanie literally blames it on her being a child, which is fucking dumb.
All right. I'm gonna pull the same card that Neri pulled. This is a fucking honorable mention.
Yeah.
Can we move on, please?
Can we fucking move on? Can we move on?
It wasn't even an honorable mention. It's just one.
It wasn't an honorable mention.
All right.
Anyway, what did you bump from your number 4, David?
Oh, it was the Turtles.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
The right answer is Leo and Raph.
Or Don and Mike, but whatever. I mean, that's just fine.
Donnie and Mike.
I mean,
yeah.
you've been wrong multiple times. You've been wrong multiple times already, Debona.
I'm with you on the Leo and Raph. Sorry, I'm with you, Debona.
Yeah. All right. So my honorable mentions for those who have not been spoken about yet are Oliver and Thea Queen.
Good pick.
Joey and Blossom. Nate.
Oh my God, I forgot about Joey and Blossom.
Yeah.
I missed it.
Nate and David Fisher from 6 Feet Under. I really love that fucking show.
Never seen that show.
God, so
never
good.
seen it.
That show.
I've been wanting to watch it for years. I've never seen it.
That show is so great, and the reason it doesn't get spoken about more often is because right after that, Michael C. he did fucking Dexter. So it's like but this show was it's fucking excellent. It's just excellent.
But I feel like that show got overshadowed by Sopranos a lot too.
Again, yeah, it's a multitude of things. It was I don't know. It's so weird. Like if that were to happen now, it wouldn't get overshadowed because now in the world of streaming, there is no picking and choosing. We fucking pick all of it.
Right.
And back then it was like, well, there could only be one top dog, and that's The Sopranos.
That was
and
also when like nobody really had DVRs, and so you had to be committed to just sitting in front of the TV.
Yeah. I'm telling you, but that show is so well written.
I've heard so many amazing things about that show, and we've been saying for a while we want to watch it.
So fucking good, man. Yeah, and then Eddie and Emery from Fresh Off the Boat. All right.
That is a good thing.
and just to be clear, I'm fully aware that Emery and I forget the other kid's name, the third one, they have a better sibling relationship, and it's Emery and Evan. But Evan is such an insufferable fucking prick that I'm willing to acknowledge that they make a better brother duo than Eddie and Emery, but Evan is such a insufferable prick that I don't want to even put him on my honorable mentions. There's nothing honorable about him. All right, and that's it. That's my honorable mentions.
Round 1.
This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back.
Do it! Do it! Come on!
All right. Number 1. What do we got for number 1, David?
My number 1 is the very first one that came to mind. To me, there is no better relationship. You can add as many siblings as you want into the mix. No better relationship. Frasier and Niles Crane.
My number 1 as well. Yeah, absolutely.
I figured it would be.
Yeah.
Do you want to go first, Eric?
No, yeah, go ahead. You are.
To me, there's as ridiculous as they both are, there's a sense of realness that undercuts that absurdity with them. There's a competitiveness that every single sibling relationship knows. Where if you know Frasier from Cheers, he was not nearly as stubborn, and he wasn't nearly as high society as he is in Frasier. And then you see him on Frasier, and suddenly things start to click as to why it is that he behaves the way he does. Because he's in competition with his brother. Because Niles is the one who is much more high society. He's much more flamboyant and kind of just, flaunting his intelligence. Not that Frasier didn't on Cheers, right? He was always the smartest guy in the room. but he wants to make sure that you know that on Frasier. And so when he and Niles get into their, well, I'm smarter than you are, it leads to some of the most absurd and comedic moments, I think, in all television, where like you see two grown ass men bickering like kids on a playground, and Martin's got to get involved and treat them like children, and to me, like nothing. There's nothing truer about a sibling relationship than your parents having to step in and say, "Hey, cut this the fuck out,"
Right?
Just fucking behave yourselves.
I love these two. I really do. I love me and Jeff. Almost, me and Jeff almost one time when we were it was his first time watching the entire series, and I had seen it before, but we were watching it pretty much on pace with each other. And he was like, hot take, Niles is a better person than Frasier. And I almost lost my shit. I almost lost. Look, this podcast was almost didn't happen because of that conversation I had. But he had really good talking points. Niles does seem to get his shit together after he gets married. I don't want to spoil something that's been out for 30 years, but he seems to almost, and then Frasier, since he never got that, at least on the show, his neurosis and his it never really calmed down, I think, as a character. But I love these two together. Those tender moments that we talk about, how life isn't really those tender moments with these two were so fucking good because they had such heavy baggage that was played up because it's a sitcom, so it was played up very well. But when they had those quote unquote real moments, or those life moments, as I would like to call them, they had such, their mom passed away, their mom who everybody in the family cherished. She was, she was the matriarch of the entire family. She was and
she's where the culture in Frasier and Niles comes from,
Yeah, she was the culture. She was the love of Martin's life. She was for someone who we as an audience didn't, even in flashbacks, we very rarely saw the mom. I think we saw the mom once or twice, and I don't even remember if we saw the actual mom or it was just like the back of somebody's head type of deal. I forget because it's been a couple of years since I've watched the series again.
I think it was like Niles' ex, where she was always just
Niles' ex, you wouldn't even fucking see the back of her head. You never even saw that shit. It was fucking, she was not anywhere in the room.
She was always off camera.
But for someone who we, the audience, never saw, we all understood the love that this woman had, that was had for this woman by not just Frasier and Niles, but also by Martin.
By Marty, yeah.
And it was so good. So there was very touching moments between Niles and Frasier. And I just, I loved those moments where Frasier, out of all people, could be so fucking crazy and so neurotic and so just out of his fucking mind, jealous and super fucking competitive and just losing control over himself. And in a blink of an eye, he could be the great therapist that he was, and he could offer some amazing advice. And you go, when Kelsey Grammer does that thing where he just lowers his voice, and they're like, oh, okay. But I fucking love that show so much. But those two are fantastic. I mean, there's a part of me that wants to say I see myself in every one of these. In every one of these relationships. I don't see myself. The relationship that I have with my brother is great, and I love that. But we have nothing in common with Frasier and Niles at all. Not even in any which way, shape, or form. We're not competitive at all. We don't see any of this. But I just love watching Frasier and Niles, and I love when they're both such fucking sissies. It's so fantastic. But they're sissies together, and that's fucking great. Their big thing throughout the entire 11 season run was that they tried so often and always failed to have a fucking dinner party. like that was their fucking goal, was to have a successful dinner party, and they never got it right. It was so great. One of my favorite episodes is when they bought an old restaurant and they fucking bought it and they did a reopen, and their dad Marty was like, "You guys can't fucking share anything. You're gonna share a restaurant? Are you out of your fucking mind?" And he was right, and Marty was right because he's fucking dad, man. But I love that. I love that show. I love that whole dynamic is great, man. So.
There's this great moment. There's this great moment where they're joining a wine club. I think it was a wine club, and Frasier fucks it up as usual, right? Because he thinks he's right about everything, and he doesn't want to go along with the rules of the club, and so. Like Niles is the one who's forced to tell him, like, you've got to go.
Yeah.
You go home. And so Frasier goes home, and there's Martin. He's like, "What happened? I thought you were gonna go play with your brother." Like, he said I couldn't play with him. and so Martin comes back down, and Niles is like, "Oh, what did Frasier tell you to come back down?" He goes, "No, he didn't." He says, "Frasier, come here." And Frasier comes in with his head all, bent over, and he was like, "You're going to let your brother play with you, and you're going to let him play with you now." Because he starts saying, "Zip it." And he keeps going back and forth, and they're like, "Yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, sir." And then when he leaves, they turn around to look at the rest of the wine group, and Niles starts to say something, and they're like, "Zip it." Like, "Your daddy yelled at you."
It's so good. It's so good.
The thing about Niles and Frasier and their relationship was in a show that was very easy to just deem as unrelatable because they were, so smart and so, high class, that their relationship was so relatable that's what reminded you that they were just normal guys.
They're human.
It was Frasier and Niles interacted that reminded you that was like, oh man, like it doesn't matter where you are, like siblings are assholes, right? And their relationship, and Marty, of course, is what kept that show relatable. That's what made it feel human. Like these are both characters that on their own right, you're just like, meh. Yeah, okay, they're a one-off on, somebody else's show or something like that. But putting them together is what made that show palatable for so many people. And so I think it's a great pick.
Yeah, it's a great. You ruined my joke, David, because as a joke, I was gonna say my number one is Cersei and fucking. I was gonna say it's Cersei and Jaime Lannister. I didn't even mention him in my honorable mentions because I wanted to go with that as a joke. But then when you said Frasier, now I was like, fuck that. Yeah, that's my number one. I can.
I figured it was going to be your number one.
It was, it's I almost got bumped by Ray and Robert Barone. That's how highly I think of those two. But I just went with my gut instinct. I'm like my first thought was those two. So, all right. So Stephanie, what's your number one? We know it's from the table before.
It's David. It's David and Alexis from Schitt's Creek.
David and Alexis. All right. I've never seen the show, so I've seen
that's reason to watch a show that features Eugene Levy. So
yeah. So I've heard. I'm again late to the party. We're late to the party. We should think we only started watching it maybe in January. But like that's one of those shows that from episode one, like I like that type of humor, like just like very dry and straightforward. For me, what makes that show is David. I think that David and Moira. David and then Moira, but David and Alexis's relationship, so the premise of the show is that this is really this insanely wealthy people lose everything because their business manager basically embezzled all their money. And the one asset they had left that nobody wanted to claim was they, on a dare, I think, bought this little town called Schitt's Creek. And that was the only, they had taken everything from them except that, so they were forced to go live in this town. That is literally a podunk town, who knows where. And they go from this giant Beverly Hills-esque mansion to living in 2 motel rooms in this little tiny town. These brother and sister that, Alexis is very in the vein of Paris Hilton and those kind of girls.
Socialite.
These socialite girls that are just like famous for being famous and being rich, and David is a little bit more artsy, but also has his David. I don't think there's ever been a character on TV like David Rose. And they just start off like really hating each other. They have very little relationship, and
they barely know each other because they went to like boarding schools and.
Right, and then Alexis started doing what I like to call like hooker light or like yachting, which is where these like socialite girls go and like be on all these yachts with all these like much older rich guys, and she makes a joke about dating Stavros, because Stavros Niarchos is like one of these oil baron guys, and so they barely know each other. They're for all intents and purposes strangers, and then they're forced into this like tiny quarters. And the way that this show as a whole progresses, it's over. It just finished now. It went in like April, but it is 6 seasons, and it's very short. There's only like 12 episodes a season, but the way the show progresses is so well done. Like it ends when it's supposed to end. It's not like a dragged out storyline, and just where they get from that first episode to that last episode, and they're so. I feel like Schitt's Creek has just become so part of our like culture now, like in a way a lot of these sitcoms have become, like how The Office has, and Parks and Friends and those kinds of, like it's even in like our everyday vernacular. The I Love That Journey for You and the Ill David and those kinds of things have just become part of society now.
Plus, just a sexy pair, both of them. Look,
right.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing: is that
all cards on the table.
I never thought I can appreciate a good-looking older guy, right? I've never thought that Eugene Levy ever, because he's like the dad from American Pie. Like, how is he hot? and then I saw Dan Levy, and I'm like, who the hell is this guy that looks just like Eugene Levy? And he's gorgeous. And but then
Annie Murphy's no Castaway.
Annie Murphy's
right.
Yeah, exactly. So it's I love that relationship, and even though it's a newer show, I feel like it's a newer show, and I haven't had as much time with it as I have some of my other picks. I feel like it really captured me from the very beginning. And I knew that it was going to be like up there in the upper echelon of sitcoms because it's so good.
And like I said, when you first made the pick, I mean, I love Eugene Levy and Kathleen O'Hara, and it's like for a show that stars the two of them to be stolen from the two of them,
right?
Volumes to how amazing these two characters are, because the two of them have been doing it at
years
at an A+ S tier level.
And together, they know how to work off each other.
Right.
And so
they've been doing it since the 70s, I think.
Yes, and to see a brother and sister, another pair of actors take the spotlight from them, who have been doing it so well for so long, speaks more than anything we could say about how great these two are together.
Yeah, I agree.
I can tell you for me, because this was my number 2 pick. For me, what it came down to is it's a sibling relationship that actually feels real. There's a reality to their relationship in what is, I think, essentially like real life Springfield, right?
Yeah.
From The Simpsons. In a lot of ways, that show feels just like Parks and Rec. It feels kind of like Springfield, where you have all of these, like, they're basically cartoon characters that are come to life, and yet the Roses are real people. And for them being these, like, very sort of like aristocratic, very, highfalutin people, they are the most realistic people in this very animated world, which is a really interesting, like, way to present this world. So their relationship is one where, like, you don't even know really how they function until you're already, like, 2 seasons in, because they don't like to interact with one another. as the seasons go on and they start to interact more with one another, you start to get that sort of like adolescent, like nitpicking that should have happened when they were younger, which is why they behave that way. And it's really like funny to see these two adult people behaving like little kids.
Right.
But they're always there for one another when they need it. And to me, that's how you know that, you know, despite the fact that this is a family that didn't really seem to care that much for one another, they always show up when the other one needs it.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Daniel, what's your number one?
My number one is the very first one that popped into my head as soon as we started talking about this, because it comes from a show that growing up and even now, I still feel like this show was the only time I ever felt like a family that was a lot like mine was on TV. And so this is the very first relationship that popped into my head, and it's Becky and Darlene Connor from Roseanne. And I'm not even counting. Honestly, I'm not even counting the last.
Which Becky?
I'll take Lisa Gorson or Sarah Chalk. It doesn't matter.
Well, it kind of does, because like that relationship is different based upon who the fuck is acting on it. I love that whole story of their being changed.
Sarah Chalk didn't always play Becky?
No, it was originally Lisa Goranson, then it was Sarah Chalk, then it was Lisa Goranson again. Sarah Chalk was like a stopgap.
Yeah.
In between time when Lisa Goranson was
I was like a kind of fair weather Roseanne fan. I watched it back in the TGIF days, like here and there, but it wasn't really like my jam.
And so when they brought it back with the new ones, it was Lisa Goranson again, and then Sarah Chalk played somebody else on the show. She was like a waitress.
Oh, okay.
But that show, for me growing up, it felt so real. Minus the shit show that was the final season, and like I said, I'm not even considering the new stuff. But just the 90s Roseanne felt like families that I knew, and to an extent at times my family. It was such an amazingly accurate portrayal of blue collar, lower middle America life. And Becky and Darlene, like I actually had this conversation with my wife, and she was like, "Well, Darlene and DJ got along better," and that's absolutely true. Darlene and DJ had more in common. And they got along better, but Becky and Darlene's absolute disdain for the other one, while never forgetting that one of the most important people in your life is always going to be your sister, is something that I think made their relationship just absolutely unbelievable and amazing. And they were so great together. They could not be any more different. They were absolutely two ends of the spectrum when it comes to having kids. And that's what made the relationship incredible, because they were at each other's throats all the time. But there was every couple of episodes, there was always that moment where they were in their room together, and you were reminded how much they loved each other and how important they actually were to the other one. And for everything that family went through over the course of the entire show, they were, and I don't know if any of you have got around to watching Atypical yet, but they were each other's emotional support humans. They needed each other because of all the craziness and insanity that was everything in their life, and just trying to get by, and their parents just kind of scraping by, and everything that Dan went through with jobs and Roseanne went through with jobs. They were the two that were always there for each other. Every time one of them screwed up, like, when Becky ran off and got married. And Darlene busted her balls about it, but she was more there for her than Dan was. And like when Darlene wanted to go to art school, and she was like secretly going to art school and stuff like that, Becky was who she confided in about that. And they needed each other. They are the two that I feel like they kept that show together, and their bizarre at times relationship was quintessential to what made that show flow and made it as realistic and as believable as it was. And so, yes, while it's absolutely true that Darlene and DJ got along better, I think that Becky and Darlene are siblings that anybody who has a brother or sister can look at and 100% understand everything that's involved in their relationship. We've seen the ups, we've seen the downs, we see everything that they go through, and from beginning to end, it was an absolutely incredible relationship. And like I said, as soon as we started talking about this, they were the very first ones that popped into my head. Didn't know they were going to be number one until I started putting my list together. But as I started to think about it, and I realized how huge each one of them was to the other one, they had to be my number one.
All right.
I never. I watched the show a lot growing up. I never. But there's a lot of episodes that I haven't seen. So yeah, I don't know the whole.
And this is, and it may, like I said, it was just that like my family in particular was target demographic for Roseanne.
Right.
It was like we're going to show you a family who, a couple of days before payday is not sure they're going to make it, and like we're going to put all of this realism on here and make you laugh, so it's not just dragging on you. But Roseanne felt very, very real so often.
Yeah, I felt the same way.
Feel of the show feeling like that made their relationship feel more real.
I felt the same way. I like Roseanne because it was very much, we were in the same scenario. It was very much, except for the fact that, we're not white. But everything else was pretty much, it was but it was the same thing. Like, not, paycheck to paycheck, one episode, their light went out. You know what I mean? They didn't pay the light bill, so the light went out. And I remember watching that as a kid and thinking to myself, I know what to do in those situations. Like, it was very, like, yeah, it's like, I remember, I remember watching it not,
watching an episode where like an appliance went out, and it was like the fridge goes out or whatever. And they're like trying to figure out what they have to sacrifice because a fridge is something you have to have, and it became like this like life lesson on the family having to sacrifice things for the betterment.
And I remember watching those episodes and not thinking, oh my God, this is crazy. Like, I remember watching those episodes and being like, yeah, okay, this is what it is.
Right.
Absolutely. It's just like, this is normal. And it's always fun when you watch those episodes with friends of yours who are not in that same tax bracket, and then be like, that's crazy. They didn't have any power. And I'm like, yeah, bitch, that's what fucking happens. All right. It happens every once in a while. Like, I don't understand what the big deal is. But that's a great pick, man. Great pick. I didn't even think of them. Apparently, because they're fucking females. I would have never thought of them, apparently, from the list, from my list. My honorable mentions had a lot of females, okay? All right, so number ones were Frasier and Niles Crane, David and Alexis Rose, Becky and Darlene, and Frasier and Niles Crane. So we have two repeats, which would be the final mantra would be Frasier and Niles, and David and Alexis. Up for grabs as far as who else. I think aside from shows that I never watched, I don't think there's a bad pick. Again, not that those are bad picks. I just never watched them, so I can't give my personal opinion on them. But I think these are all really, really good picks on these. So whatever you guys want to do.
I'm fine with like throwing Becky and Darlene on there, and they're not. I mean, I'm not a big Roseanne fan, but I know that it's got a pretty great fandom, and a lot of people love that. I saw that pick on a lot of, not the commenters, but like a lot of lists when I was doing research. That came up a lot.
I was doing research and I didn't see them at all. I didn't even think of them because I didn't see them.
A couple of times.
Oh, okay.
And I honestly think that we would kind of be remiss if we didn't include Monica and Ross on this. All things
I kind of agree. Yeah, I agree. Just because everybody kind of mentioned, like everybody pretty much mentioned.
I don't like Monica and Ross pick, but you guys, I mean, you guys could vote on it. That's how I'm fine. I'm not voting
something David and I were talking about when it came down to Monica and Ross, and he said was like, he might not like Ross as a character, but like that relationship is a realistic portrayal.
I love Ross as a character. I love Rachel and Ross. Right. I think people who don't like Ross are stupid. I love Ross. I just don't like Rachel. I just don't like Ross and Monica as a sibling. I just think
Rachel deserved Joey.
Oh my God!
Fuck you! You're the fucking worst. You are the fucking worst.
I'm just kidding. Wow.
Yeah, I was really starting to like you.
Guess who's not being invited back?
Yeah, no, I'm honest to God, just kidding. But I do.
Let's go with, first of all, anybody, because so we had a nomination by Stephanie to for the Final Mountain for Becky and Darlene. So do we have anybody voting against that? Anybody voting for that? Are we?
I'm all for it.
David?
Yes.
You okay?
Yeah, it's fine.
All right. He's just like, all right. So I guess we would have Fraser and Niles, David and Alexis, and Becky with the good hair. And she has great hair. Becky and Darlene.
Well, she had. The years have not been kind.
Really? To which one?
To Lisa Goranson. They've been great to Sarah Chalk. The years have been amazing to Sarah Chalk. Lisa Goranson, not the one.
So Becky and Darlene, and whatever you guys want for a fourth. I like. There's a lot of picks that I like. So
there's things I like, but I'm good with Ross and Monica.
I think that Ross and Monica is like I think they're like a keystone brother and sister too.
Yeah, I think a lot of I think like when a lot of people heard this, like that this is gonna be the topic, it's probably like the first one or two that popped into their heads. You know, I kind of
agree.
I'm fine with that pick.
David, are you gonna? Yeah, I mean, you have a vote too. You're trailing off here on us.
Oh, I really don't give a fuck.
I mean, you got to give a yay or nay. My vote is a nay. I fucking hate Ross and Monica, so I vote no. But this is up to you, really.
Wow, you're gonna make it up to me?
Well, it's a fucking democracy. That's how that shit works. I'm sorry. There's 4 of us. 2 of them have said yes.
To work.
Yeah. This is on
you know what? Fine. Yeah, whatever. As much as
there was so much enthusiasm for that. You literally, this is literally what I saw from David. You're like, you know what, dude? I'm trying to get laid tonight. Yeah, fuck it, whatever, man. This is my wife clearly picked this. I'm all right, whatever. Yeah, that's fine.
Whatever.
Okay. Yeah.
All right. So
I mean, I'm not going to throw out one of my own to try to get more of mine on the mountain.
Oh, but I mean, but you don't have to. We had Chippendale. We had Dennis and D from Always Sunny. Will and Carlton, which I know is not going to make anybody's Final Mountain. Jack and Diane, Nathan and Lucas, Morty and Summer, Adam and Barry Goldberg. What else? We have Claire and Mitchell, Dunphy.
I would rather have. I'll tell you what. I'd rather have Adam and Barry over Rachel and.
Yeah, if you guys were gonna, if we were gonna mix Ross and Monica, that would have been my next choice.
That would absolutely be my next choice too. So if we've got 2 no's on Ross and Monica, then I will throw a yes behind Claire and Mitchell.
Yeah, I can support no, not Claire and Mitchell, Barry and Adam Goldberg.
Oh,
yeah, he hasn't seen the Goldberg, so he can't.
I will totally throw a yes behind Claire Pritchett.
Listen,
I would rather have Claire and Mitchell than Monica and Ross. Yeah.
I would rather have fucking drilled, I fucked up the joke, but you get what I'm saying. I would rather have so many more things. I was going to say I'd rather have a fucking, what's that thing? When you,
a root
canal than fucking put Ross and Monica, but that's just me.
Professional comedian, everybody.
Hey, dude, you know what? This is what happens when you brush your teeth and you don't fucking need root canals. So this is what fucking happens. Sorry, my fucking train of thought wasn't immediately fucking root canals, all right? I was like, I don't know. People hate the dentist. I don't, but whatever.
I hate the dentist.
Me rather have Dr. Tooth Drill Hole in Mouth.
Hey, listen, I may have grown up with a household that didn't fucking pay their light bill all the damn time, but we brush our fucking teeth. That's what we fucking did. All right, so Final Mountain.
Right.
What?
That's right.
Okay. Final Mountain. Fraser.
I'm agreeing with you. I don't know.
Fraser and Niles, David and Alexis, Becky and Darlene, and I guess are we doing Claire and Mitchell?
Bro, I don't give a fuck. Just pick one already.
Yeah, bro. Claire and Mitchell. Fuck it. All right.
Works for me. They're great together. I'm fine with that.
They are. All right, so thank you guys for checking us out. Make sure you check out the other podcasts on the Geek Bro Network that include the What's Up Bro podcast, that include What You Got, which is Daniel DeBono's other podcast, which you can find on YouTube. And hold on, there you go. Look at Steph all sleepy.
I'm not sleepy.
And then, Pero Let Me Tell You, and Childlike at Best with Mike Valdez. Go to geekbro.net. Again, that is geekbro.net. You guys have been fantastic. That's how lists are made.